Hello Rivermen and SPHL fans, welcome to the video. This one shouldn't take that long. I just wanted to give my thoughts of the Rivermen's three-headed monster goalie position, give you some numbers of them and what I think this might mean for the Rivermen moving forward next year after this season, as well as moving forward in the playoffs. It's really a wonderful problem we have and been very fortunate. Rivermen legitimately have three number one goalies on their roster, and the numbers back that up. It's going to make for an interesting offseason because I know Rivermen are going to want all three of these goalies back in camp for next season. And I think with two of them, that's a very good possibility. But one of them might try to make an ECHL camp, and we'll get into that as the video chugs along here. The first goalie I want to talk about is Colby Muse. He has just been a blessing this year. Did not know what we was going to get with him. He is a rookie pro goalie. This is his first year in professional hockey, and he has done stellar with the Rivermen and has fit right in and is a big-time fan favorite in Peoria. He got a new helmet that's Peoria Rivermen themed that I think is badass, and I know he loves playing here with us in Peoria. He spent a little time up in the ECHL. He had 9 games that he played in up there. Not stellar numbers like down here, but again, let's face it, our Neck Thunder ain't exactly a juggernaut in the ECHL. And like I said, he's a rookie pro goalie. This is his first pro experience. And like I said, I think he's done stellar. We'll go over his numbers with the Rivermen this year that I think puts him right smack dab in the middle of Goalie of the Year candidate, if not the favorite. Obviously a little biased towards him, but even if I'm not being biased, it's hard to put any other goalie above him for Goalie of the Year and what he's meant to the Peoria Rivermen organization. This year, he has 31 games played with the Peoria Rivermen. He has a goals against average of a 1.68, which is phenomenal. And he has a save percentage of a .933. Again, very phenomenal, especially for a rookie goaltender getting his first taste of pro hockey. Those numbers alone can warrant him getting Goalie of the Year, but I'm not finished yet. He has 8 shutouts. That's right, 8 shutouts this year, which ties the SPHL record, and his overall record is 23, 3, and 4 with the Peoria Rivermen. All these numbers, in my opinion, are good enough numbers to become Goalie of the Year in SPHL, which is pretty damn good considering, like I said, he's a rookie. He could even be Rookie of the Year type candidate. Goalies normally don't get that, but the numbers he has posted, you can even make an argument for that category, that he's Rookie of the Year. He has been just steady at net for us, stellar at net for us. We're probably not in first place without him this year, considering Nick Latinovic started overseas in Europe playing for France. We didn't have him at the start. So without Colby Muse, I don't know if we're sitting in first place. He was out the first round of the playoffs. He had a stomach virus and illness. I definitely expect him, as long as he's healthy, to get the start in round number 2 against Evansville Thunderbolts moving forward. And I think Colby Muse versus Cole Ceci is a great matchup, and I'm excited for it. Moving on to our number 2 goaltender, who did eventually come back from France to play with us. Side note, unfortunately for Nick Latinovic, when he did come back, he came back about halfway through the season, but injured his ankle in practice and basically sat out the entire rest of the year. Besides like the back half, last 2-3 weeks of the season is when he finally came back. And for that reason, Tino only has 4 games played for us before starting in the playoffs. If you count the playoffs, 6 games. But in the season, he's only had 4 games at net for us. So, again, ankle injury, that it happens. It's unfortunate. But let me tell you his numbers with those 4 games played this year. He has a 1.51 goals against average, pretty good, and a .938 save percentage. So you see his goals against and save percentage is still on par, still top notch, even for 4 games. He had 1 shutout in those 4 games and only 1 loss. He went 3-1. We look back to Nick Latinovic's championship season, and that year he had 39 games played for us overall, a 1.93 GAA, and a .916 save percentage with 7 shutouts and a 27-7-3 record. At the time, I thought that was good enough to get him goalie of the year. Unfortunately, that went to Hayden Stewart, who was deserving too. I'm not going to say Hayden Stewart wasn't deserving, but I thought Nick Latinovic should have gotten that, and unfortunately he didn't. But so you compare Nick's numbers to Colby Muse's numbers. Colby Muse had a better GAA, a better save percentage, more shutouts, and well on his way to having a better record than Nick. So, like I said, I love Nick Latinovic to death. I loved him when he was in Huntsville. I loved him when he was in Macon. I always wanted him to come to the Rivermen and play. I told many Rivermen fans, if we ever get this guy, we got a legit shot at a Stanley Cup, because if you put our team with his goaltending skills, that spells championship. And I was right on the money with that. Speaking of Macon, that's the only time that Latinovic's numbers wasn't really that great. He didn't play much for Macon. He was up in the ECHL too during his time with Macon most of the time. But when he did play with them, he only had 4 games played, a 4.45 goals against average, and a .895 save percentage, no shutouts, and he went 0-3-1 with Macon. He didn't even win a game with them. And so that should tell you everything you need to know about Macon. And I'm not done with Macon, because we had another goalie that also played 6 games with Macon, and it's also the only time he had poor numbers. And I think that speaks more to Macon than it does these goalies. Goalies go to Macon to die, because I feel so sorry for them over in Macon, because they get no help, no support, no nothing. So anyway, but continuing on with Nick Latinovic, like I said, he also played for Huntsville Havoc, and sure enough, he had better numbers for the Rivermen than he did the Huntsville Havoc, and I also think that's for a reason. He had 25 games played with Huntsville Havoc. He had a 2.72 goals against average. He had a 1.93 with Rivermen. Not a .918 save percentage. Now with the Rivermen, he did have a .916. Not much different, virtually identical. He only had 2 shutouts with Huntsville Havoc compared to his 7 with Rivermen. and he was 16-8-1 with Huntsville Havoc, and he was, like I said, 27-7-3 with Rivermen. Overall had better numbers in Peoria, played his best hockey in Peoria. He did play in France. He didn't play much in France. He was mainly the backup goalie there. He had decent numbers with France, but he wanted to come back and play for Peoria, and so he did exactly that. Just like I said, unfortunately, he got injured. So, again, you got right there's two juggernaut goalies. Nick Latinovich does have an SPHL President's Cup with the Rivermen from last season over the Huntsville Havoc. And Colby Muse is trying to do that himself and have that on his mantle as well and get a ring with the Rivermen, and I think he's more than capable of doing that. Our third goalie, that's a diamond in the rough, that was a blessing in disguise, that I'm sure will have a camp invite with the Rivermen next season, is Jack the Final Boss Boston. This guy has been phenomenal for Rivermen, filling in when we needed a backup goalie more than ever, and a number one goalie when Colby Muse got called up and Nick Latinovich was hurt. This guy carried the load for us and did phenomenal. I couldn't be more pleased with his performances with Rivermen, and man, I hope he comes back to camp next year, and I hope he makes the roster, considering, well, I'll get into that after I read his numbers. But anyway, Jack Boston played 9 games with us this year for a 2.08 goals against average, a .910 save percentage. He had 1 shutout and a record of 7-1-1, which is phenomenal. Again, I thought he helped us not stay in first, but help get us closer to first place. He helped keep us in the top 3. There was some panic with Rivermen fans, not going to lie, when Latinovich was hurt and Colby Muse went up to the ECHL. We was just hoping and praying. We had a couple goalies come through the pipeline. None of them really stuck. None of them really performed well outside of Ricardo Gonzalez. I would say he performed the best outside of these 3. But Troy Coburn didn't work out. Dyson Skinner didn't work out. We had another goalie. I'm sorry, his name is escaping me. But he gave up like 4 or 5 goals in one period to the Storm. So, obviously, he didn't work out. Trevor Babin didn't work out. So we were scrambling. And without Jack Boston, we probably would have lost a lot of games while Muse was gone, because there was no other goalie we could count on. So, again, so thankful we had him. He came from the FPHL. He played with the Athens Rock Lobsters, and he did just about the same with them like he did with Peoria. He had an outstanding year going for him. He had 17 games played there, a 2.13 goals against average, a .923 save percentage, also with a shutout, and he had the same record, 7-1-1. So he must have came in as backup a few times, because I looked at 2 or 3 different sites to look up his numbers, and they all have him listed as 17 games played, but a 7-1-1 record. So he must have came in as backup, or I don't know. But anyway, he has good numbers. Now, Jack Boston, again, did play for the Macon Mayhem, and again, that's the only time in his career he had poor numbers. He had 6 games played with Macon Mayhem, a 4.60 goals against average, a .900 save percentage, no shutouts, and a 2-4 record. So, again, you got 2 stellar goalies, Nick Latinovich and Jack Boston. The only time they ever have poor numbers is with Macon Mayhem. And like I said, I think that speaks more to the Macon Mayhem than it does to these two goalies. So if ever you get a goalie from Macon Mayhem, look at other stats to see how good they really are, because Macon Mayhem are goalie killers. I feel bad for any goalie that goes over there to play, because they do not have a team defense or defense to help their goalie out whatsoever, and not the best penalty kill. Now, with this season heading into the playoffs, obviously it's Colby Muse and Nick Latinovich, and we got Jack Bosted on IR, and I'm sure we could bring him back if needed, if one of the goalies got injured. I know Coach Trudell wanted to keep him around because I'm sure he loves what this kid did for us. Now, heading into the off-season after this season, like I said, I'm sure Coach Trudell would love to see all three of these goalies in camp. If Nick Latinovich does come back to us, I'm sure that'll be his final year. I'm sure he would retire after next season, if he even comes back to us. And with Colby Muse, for all we know, he could try and start the year in an ECHL camp after the numbers he put up in the SPHL. Love to see Colby Muse come back and give us another year, but I don't blame him if he wants to try his luck in the ECHL. And like I said, with Jack Bosted, I would love to see him come back, and I would love to see him make the roster, especially if Nick Latinovich doesn't return to us, or if Colby Muse wants to try his luck in the ECHL. I think Jack Bosted is a great guy to have come in and play for us. It's going to make for an interesting offseason. There's no doubt about that. I'm excited for the future. I'm excited, obviously, for this playoffs. We've got legit goalies, and I think we have championship caliber goalies on our hands with all three of them. That's my opinion. These guys have been nothing but great for the Rivermen, so there's no reason for me to ever doubt these three. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope we see these three goalies back in camp next season. And I'll catch you at the next puck drop, and I always keep it Rivermen style.